Hello, welcome to Dungeon Growers Podcast. I'm your host Justin. So we've been doing Batman month for a while, but I figured we should do some reviews and other content aside from Batman month. Where all the month of September I'm reviewing Batman comics and movies. It's going to be mostly animated movies for people who are subscribed to the channel. So I was kind of in the mood to watch some horror movies. I've been watching some Mr. H videos and whatnot. And I was unsubbed from Mr. H, and I'm like, why am I unsubbed from him again? And like, oh yeah, because I'm a huge fan of his, I'm a huge fan of his movie critiques. Which he trashed this movie, by the way, which is the new Neil Blomkamp movie, which is 2021 horror supernatural films, an hour and 44 minutes. Also has sci-fi elements. It's written and directed by Neil Blomkamp, and it stars Carly Pope as the main character, Nathalie Bollt as Angela, who's a South African actress, and you have Michael Rogers from Beyond the Black Rainbow, one of my favorite horror films that come out in the last decade. Andrea, I don't even remember this girl. Andrea Iger as Cashier, Terry Chan, and Chris William as Martin. It's mostly like Canadian actors in this film, which I could tell that a lot of the Canadian actors, I could tell they were Canadian actors, because one of the characters in this movie, Sam, who's the best friend of Carly, the main character, is like Leah Dama's girlfriend from the Battlestar Galactica remake. So I recognized her right away, which sad what happened to her on that show. I can't remember if she survived or not. I think she tried to kill herself in that show. I can't remember. Yeah. So yeah, I watched the movie, and typical highbrow critics trashed this movie for being garbage and whatnot. Like I said, I actually enjoyed the film, and it's the thing where they keep giving. It's the thing where they love Neil Blomkamp's first movie because of the woke, progressive political messaging in his films, right? So after that, he had like high concept movies with like kind of like progressive slash woke messaging, trying to catch the high he got from his first movie from critics. And what do they call his movies? Oh, they're high-handed movies, which means like we agree with the politics, but it's same old. It's the thing where like if any of those like Elysium or Chappie, right? If those movies had came out first, aside from District 9, they would have loved those movies, right? But because he's been kind of doing the same thing for a while, they trashed him, right? So he decides because of the pandemic that's going on, he decides to do a smaller film, right? Which apparently this movie had like a $3 million budget. I don't know. I'm not seeing that anywhere, but of course, that's what Mr. H says, right? So he decides to do a smaller budget, which the movie, well, for people who don't know what the movie is about, basically this middle-aged woman gets contacted out of the blue by her ex-boyfriend, who she hasn't seen in years, and he tells her, hey, he was contacted by this medical association who's treating her mother, right, who's in a coma, who went to jail for murdering people, right? And like she goes there, they're asking her a bunch of questions. They set up her mom with this like simulation thing where like because she's in a coma, right? They treat her by putting by setting up the simulation inside her, based off her head, where people can go in and talk to her, right? So they send in her daughter, who hates her mother, but then once she goes in, weird shit happens where she's getting visions. She sees the second time she's in there, she sees a fucking monster, right? Which looks like a Tengu demon, right? Which is like a crow monster. If you know your Japanese mythology, right? It looks like a fucking Tengu, which is spelled Tengu if you want to look it up, right? And then like she tells her boyfriend about it, and like he apparently was with her the night where they found her mother Angelo, before they started the murder, before she murdered people, right? Where she was like collapsed in some building, right? Where he had like visions and shit, and like he was doing research and found out all that, like that his mother, her mother was possessed by this demon, right? And he looked into like Michael Rogers and Terry Chen's company, right? And apparently they're not doctors like they claim to be. They're fucking demon hunters from the Vatican, right? Which is it's kind of cool, but at the same time kind of dumb. Where you need to have like this tactical like squad to fucking handle exorcisms, right? Which obviously how these movies go did not pan out too well. So I don't want to spoil too much about the movie, but I'll talk about some things I liked about the movie, some things I didn't like about the movie. I really liked, like, for having like a cast of basically no names, right? I thought the actors did a good job, because like a lot of these actors are like TV actors or small-time movie actors. Like Michael Rogers, the most the most famous role he ever had, besides from Beyond the Black Rainbow, which is a Panos Cosmatos film by Panos Cosmatos, the guy who made Mandy, right, with Nicolas Cage. His second most famous role is playing Quan Chi in Mortal Kombat Legacy, right? Which he is fantastic in the movie. I almost didn't recognize him because he has like a tan and like 5 o'clock shadow. But like, if you haven't seen Beyond the Black Rainbow, check it out. He plays this it's like basically in that movie he plays like this psychiatrist guy who's in charge of this like hippie new wave like institution in like the 80s, which is doing research on the supernatural and like psychics and shit. And like there's some really cool LSD like trippy shit in that movie. And also like he does the entire time, he's like his entire performance in that movie, he's doing this Christian Bale American Psycho impersonation, which he has that. I think that's kind of his natural voice, but like in that movie though, it really plays up though. Like I think he naturally has this like Christian Bale when he does American accent voice, but he came off like a lot like Christian Bale in American Psycho in that film. Here he's supposed to be a good guy, but like he gets of course he gets possessed at the end of the movie, right? Which one thing you gotta love about this movie, right? That a lot of demonic possession movies don't do, where they actually have the demon look like a fucking monster. Where like a lot of movies, it'll just be like a humanoid with makeup or something, right? Where it'll just look like a weird ghost. Here it's an actual fucking monster, which looked cool, and it wasn't CG. It looked like a practical thing, which was fucking awesome. When like during the simulation, right, she counters the demon and everything's like CGI-esque, right? Like it looks like a video game, and he looks fucking real as shit. So that was cool, right? I thought the soundtrack was very cool. It was basically minimal, like electronic kind of music, but I thought it worked especially since this is supposed to be a sci-fi horror film, right? And also, I like some of the, you know, I like the like atmosphere of the film. I like the whole like them incorporating like fucked up dreams, fucked up dreams, with the demons and shit. Like she'll have like everything will be normal, and then like um, right, and she'll be hanging out with her friend, and then it turns out it was like the fucking demon fucking with her, and she'll wake up in their like bed and stuff. Because I've had like weird dreams and shit like that, and it totally where like I thought ghosts were fucking with me. If you ever had like what's it called, paralysis dreams? Oh my god, those are the fucking worst, right? Oh my god, like I've had like fucked up dreams like that where like I think I'm awake and I'll encounter some weird bullshit in my bedroom, and then I'll just wake up and I'm like, what the fuck? So yeah, I love some of the cool shit. Like yeah, I thought that shit was cool. Some people might find the whole demon hunters, tactical squad demon hunters, cool or not. I don't know. I think it's kind of silly, but apparently Neil Blomkamp used that idea in like a short film called Firebase on his like Oats Studios like YouTube channel or whatever when he was doing like sci-fi shorts, which I only ever watched like two of them, Rocka, and I don't even remember the second one. But yeah, they're pretty cool. It's just like I don't really like watching shorts, right? Because like all shorts are pretty much demos for movie studios. Like, hey, let's make this into a movie, right? Which is like, yeah, I'm not really a huge fan of shorts, right? Because they're as far as media goes, they're too short, right, for me to enjoy. Right. So like some problems I do have with the movie, right? The sound mixing with Michael Rogers' character, where he's like talking in a demonic voice, right? I could hardly understand what the fuck he was saying, right? That's one problem I had. Two, like, you have our characters make some dumb decisions, which leads to bad consequences. Like at first like near the climax of the movie, they're at the site of the finale, right, to go and rescue their friend Sam, which they find Sam, they rescue her, and then they're like, oh, we have to go save some men took her mom into a building, right, to perform an exorcism, right, which they set up like, oh, they have to do the exorcism where the possession first happened, right? So like they decide to go and say fuck it, leave their friend Sam alone in the truck to go and rescue their mom, who is, from what we know, is basically in a coma and can't breathe on her own, right? So it's like, how the fuck were they planning on rescuing her when if they took her off her machines and shit, she would probably have died? So yeah, I thought that was dumb, right? And yeah, and besides from that, I can't really think. Oh yeah, yeah. Besides from that, I can't really think of anything else. Other than except for one thing, where she goes into the simulation to talk to her mother for the last time, and this is all spoilers, by the way. Let's talk to her mother for the last time, right? And one of the dying priests gives her the only weapon that can kill the demon, right? And at that point, they know the demon had left her mother, right? And went to the body of Michael Rogers' character, who's also named Michael in the movie, right? And it's like, okay, she keeps the magic weapon to herself, which I think it was like a spearhead, which I think it was supposed to be the same spearhead that was used to kill Jesus, if you know your like Christian mythology. It's called the Spear of Longinus, right? Which there's a bunch of crazy stuff about that. You see the Spear of Longinus in a lot of media, including Neon Genesis Evangelion, right? Which was a giant weapon in that. How the fuck? How the fuck? Yeah. Did like a Roman soldier spear become like a giant, like two-pronged spear in fucking Evangelion? Who knows, right? But yeah, so like she keeps it to herself and doesn't give it to her friend Martin, who's guarding her while she's in the body. Sorry, in the simulation, right? He's being her bodyguard, right? So it probably would have made more sense to give the magic weapon to him, since she's not gonna need it where she's going in the simulation. And two, you already knew the demon was out of her. And three, yeah, he's the one who has to protect you, and he just has his hunting rifle. And they know the demon can only be killed by the spear, right? Which I also think that's kind of dumb, but whatever, right? Yeah. So like, yeah. Besides from that, I really enjoyed the movie. I really like the scene where where the demon comes, where she has like heat vision goggles on, and she stabs Michael Rogers with the spearhead, which it takes a while for its effect to for it to take an effect, because he gets stabbed a bunch of times. It's like, haha, all your guns and your crosses and your Bibles can't do shit to me. Sees that it's the spirit Longinus. He's like, what the fuck? Where the fuck did you get that? And he starts spazzing out, right? And the demon gets out, like, you see the demon come out of his body in the heat vision with the heat vision goggles, right? And it's a super cool effect, man. It was a pretty cool effect, because it was like they did, like, you can tell that it was probably practical too, or at least most of it was practical. Which, yeah, like, I love how they kept the demon like a practical effect, right? Yeah. So in my opinion, I think the movie, like, when you consider that, like, a lot of horror movies are like, like low budget garbage, I think this is a good, like, low budget horror movie that's actually, like, decent. And if you're a fan of supernatural horror movies with a twist, I think this movie is great, right? I think this movie is worth watching. So I'm giving it, a 6.5 out of 10. It has its problems, but if you like, I don't even know what people are talking about. This movie is like slow and that it doesn't have, it's too boring, or right? There's like decent, there's enough like action beats throughout this movie to keep it from being boring, in my opinion. But by action beats, I mean like scares. But yeah, so I don't know. I really enjoyed the film, and I think if you're a Neil Blomkamp fan, you should check it out. Though I think his idea for fucking Alien 5 probably would have sucked, because like those fucking actors are too old. All right, guys.